hopefully everything you need to know about Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 2. This scene starts off with Capulet, the elder senior member of the family, County Paris, a nobleman, and then it says the clown, which is a servant. And again, the servant here is going to provide some comic relief, just like they did in Scene 1. So Capulet starts off speaking to Paris about what had just happened from the prince, who had said, "No more fighting or you're dead meat. But Montague is bound as well as I, in penalty alike, and 'tis not hard, I think, for men so old as we to keep the peace." So we're both under the same law, and we're old, so it should be in our ability to be peaceful. Paris, of honorable reckoning are you both, and pity 'tis you lived at odds so long. But now, my lord, what say you to my suit? So Paris acknowledges this and is like, you're both honorable men, and it's too bad that this has been going on. And he tries to change the subject now because he has something on his mind. Capulet, but saying over what I have said before, my child is yet a stranger in the world. She hath not seen the change of 14 years. Let 2 more summers wither in their pride, ere we may think her ripe to be a bride. The idea here is a young daughter, and obviously Paris is interested in her and wants to marry her, but she's young, and he wants his daughter to wait 2 more years before she gets married. Paris counters. He's persistent. Younger than she, our happy mother's maid. Capulet responds to this, and too soon marred are those so early made. So she's too young to be a mother. The earth hath swallowed all of my hopes, but she is the hopeful lady of my earth. So we can know that his other children has died, and she is his now only child. So he says, but woo her. Woo her is to court her, or to, be sweet to her and win her over. Get her heart. My will to her consent is but a part, and she agreed within her scope of choice lies my consent and fair according voice. So in other words, if you can win her over, then I will relent and allow this to happen. Then he gives this invitation. This night I hold an old accustomed feast, whereto I have invited many a guest, such as I love. And you among the store, one more most welcome, makes my number more. I'm having a party, and you can come too. At my poor house look to behold this night earth-treading stars that make dark heaven light. So this is a metaphor here for the women that are going to be there. They are earth-treading stars, and they lighten up the evening. Such comfort as do lusty young men feel when well-apparelled April on the heel of limping winter treads, even such delight among the fresh fennel buds shall you this night inherit at my house. So I'm going to have, it's spring now, and, as the springtime comes and plants bloom, I'm going to have these women all dressed up coming and be a delight to look at, basically. So hear all, see all, and like her most, whose merit most shall be, which on more view of many, mine, being one, may stand in number, though in reckoning none. So he is inviting him to come see all of the women there, counting on the fact that with all of these women, his young daughter will really not be as much interest at the County Paris. He says, go with me. And then to the serving men, go, sirrah. Sirrah is a common term for servants. Trudge about through fair Verona, find those persons out whose names are written there, and to them say, my house and welcome on their pleasure stay. So he is making the servant go out and invite people to his party tonight. They leave, and the serving man is left here with this letter, and he has a little speech here that we can find out that he doesn't know how to read. So find them out whose names are written here. It is written that the shoemaker should meddle with his yard, and the tailor with his last, the fisher with his pencil, and the painter with his nets. But I am sent to find those persons whose names are here writ, and can never find what names the writing person hath here writ. So I can't read. So he does these comparisons. In fact, he even messes up the comparison, right? He's like, the fisher has his pencil and the painter has his nets, and it's actually the reverse of that. So it's supposed to be a little comical. I must to the learned in good time. So he wants to find someone that can read. Happens to come across Benvolio and Romeo. And Benvolio is still talking to Romeo about letting go and finding another woman that is more interesting than Rosalind. Tut, man, one fire burns out, another's burning. So your heart is burning for Rosalind. Well, you're going to find someone else that makes your heart burn more and extinguish the first. One pain is lessened by another's anguish. Turn giddy and be holp by backward turning. One desperate grief cures with another's languish. Take thou some new infection to thy eye, and the rank poison of the old will die. So start loving after some other woman where you have a better chance with her, and it will kind of lessen and get rid of your pain from this one. The pain of the new love will replace the pain of the old love. Your plantain leaf is excellent for that. For what, I pray thee? For your broken shin. Why, Romeo, art thou mad? So he's changing the subject here when he says, this is an herb. But plantain leaf would be an herb used for cuts and bruises. So if you're saying I have a broken heart, he's trying to take this medical thing of the broken heart to actual, an actual cut or bruise that he has. Not mad, but bound more than a madman is, shut up in prison, kept without my food, whipped and tormented, and so he's again lamenting about how grieving he is that his love will never be fulfilled by Rosalind. And then he greets the servant, good fellow, and then the servant responds to him, good evening. I pray, sir, can you read? And Romeo doesn't answer him directly when he's asked if he can read. I, mine own fortune in my misery, I can, read my life in front of me. Serving man, perhaps you have learned it without book, but I pray, can you read anything you see? Romeo responds again, kind of comically, puzzily, I, if I know the letters and the language. So the serving man, ye say honestly, rest you merry. So he assumes that he can't read, but Romeo stops him. Stay, fellow, I can read. So he reads this letter, and he goes through the list, and in that list, he sees, of course, Rosalind is in there. And he says, as he reads the list, it's a fair assembly, a lot of, upper class, well-to-do people. Whither should they come? And the serving man says, up, whither, to supper? To our house. Whose house? My master's. Indeed, I should have asked thee that before. So he knows this is just a servant, right? Now I'll tell you without asking, my master is the great rich Capulet, and if you be not of the house of Montague, I pray come and crush a cup of wine. In other words, come and party with us. He does not know that Romeo is a Montague. Benvolio, though, caught this. At this same ancient feast of Capulet sups the fair Rosalind, whom thou so loves, with all the admired beauties of Verona. Go thither, and with unattainted eye, compare her face with some that I shall show, and I will make thee think thy swan a crow. So they're going to go check out the women at this party, and Benvolio is convinced that he's going to point out a fine-looking gal that will make Rosalind look like a bow wow. Right? That's the idea here. Romeo says, when the devout religion of mine maintained such falsehood, then turn tears to fires, and these who, often drowned, could never die, transparent heretics be burnt for liars. So these other women will all prove false. They will not compare to her. One fairer than my love, the all-seeing sun never saw her matched since the world first begun. There's not anyone that's going to compare to dear Rosalind. He's a little dramatic. Benvolio, tut, you saw her fair, none else being by, herself poised with herself in either eye. She was alone, so you didn't have another beauty to compare her to. But in that critical scales let there be weighed your lady's love against some other maid. That I will show you shining at this feast, and she shall scant show well that now seems best. So at this feast you will see that there are plenty of others fish in the sea. Romeo says, I'll go along, no such sight to be shown, but to rejoice in splendor of mine own. So I'm going to go and basically lament about Rosalind. I'm going to just be sad looking upon her beauty. And that's the end of the scene.